All right, we got my guy Tanastadi here. If you would introduce yourselves to the camera.
My name's Tanes, but I go by Tanastadi, and that's how I got that name. I use my first name.
What's your full name?
It's a really long name, so it's Tanes Pukpaibo. And
Oh
yeah, I mean, everybody's always told me to shorten it, but it just keeps getting longer and longer,
yeah.
you know? But I gotta be proud of it. It took me a minute to be proud of my name because no one could ever pronounce it. So I always was trying to find a way to make it different.
Make it work.
But as I get older, it's like, no, that's still my name.
It's who I am. Yeah.
Who I am. Yeah.
Me too. My name's always messed people up. So this is the Creative Questions podcast, and ultimately the intention is to kind of talk to creative entrepreneurs that have kind of been on a path. I like to start out with where you're from. So where are you from initially? Where were you born?
I was born here in Denver. It's been a minute because that hospital doesn't even exist anymore. I always forget what the name was. But I was born here in Denver, born and raised. Moved to Aurora for high school. And then, went to Vegas for about 10 years. And now I'm back here.
So you were born here, what initially got you started on the creative journey? Like,
I think watching my dad do a whole bunch of, all the creative stuff, obviously, like music and doing all the business stuff, opening laundromats or whatever. So that got me the sense, and then I got.
How old were you whenever he was out there doing?
Oh, I was actually singing covers since I've been like 3 or 4 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, in like Thai and different languages and stuff. That's how I learned it. So English is my second language.
Yeah.
I sung in Thai, did all that. Went to school. Once I started school, then I learned English. So that was preschool, kindergarten, on through 5th grade. I had to be in ESL. Tried from then on to get rid of my accent.
Sure.
And it was a big deal. I couldn't say certain words or whatever. So I get all that creativity, I think, mostly from my dad's side. And then I get the work ethics and stuff from my mom's side.
Oh, word.
My mom's hustler, always had 2-3 jobs.
Yeah.
No matter if we had a sitter or not, she'd take us to work or hide us somewhere.
Whatever it was.
Yeah, whatever it took. Because it was still, it was a different time in the late 80s and early 90s, Just stick your kids in the freaking closet somewhere
Yeah,
at work.
Give them a coloring book, whatever.
Exactly. Now it's, can't do that no more, but the work ethics and just seeing my mom just never stop no matter what got me there. But all the creative juices and stuff came from my dad.
What did it feel like when you were initially singing covers? Where were you doing this at?
So my dad would find like the Thai temple.
Okay.
He'd do things there or at the bar, like a Thai bar or something. And he was just doing like the background music. He had a really good following in the Thai community.
Yeah.
So wherever they were throwing a party, that required him to go and sing and perform and stuff, I was that extra bonus, my
cute
brother.
Factor.
Yeah, but I'd go in there, and at the time it was like the Jackson 5, so there was Thai versions of that. And so I sung the covers of those songs that were popular in Thailand.
And do you remember like when you first started recognizing people noticing and enjoying your performances?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's what gave me the whole urge to always want to be in front of people. Because of that feeling, that energy that you get, the vibe that you get from performing, and that anxiety, that performance anxiety that you always get to, it kind of pushes you because you be better. Yeah. And you have to be at top notch all the time, to feel that.
How long did you perform out like that?
I mean, I think until I was at least 10 to 12 years old, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Dancing, singing.
Mm-hmm.
My mom would do all the choreographing and stuff because she was a Thai dancer and
Yeah.
an instructor for Thai dancing. And so we modernized it, obviously, because times changed. And at the time, there was like, New Kids on the Block, Vanilla Ice, all that dancing stuff that was going on in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of put that in there. And the routines that I had were with me, my brother, my cousins,
Mm-hmm.
whoever we kind of threw in the mix, But
Yeah.
I think I took it more seriously than my cousins and my family did.
Sure.
But it stuck with me forever.
Yeah.
And the music always stuck with me. And um, I mean, my dad gave me the Chronic album,
Really.
you know?
I was
And
gonna ask. So when did hip hop music come into play? Like when did you start getting introduced to
so
that
my mom and dad were always listening to the newest,
stuff?
hottest stuff, right? And they were, like in the know for like the hip hop stations and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Not very many oldies or anything like that. I mean, you get the classic Michaels and stuff, nothing crazy, but um, they introduced me to all of that. And
Wow.
my dad had Warren G, Chronic albums, all that stuff, on tapes, and
Yeah.
I listened to it. I mean, it's not like he was like, "Hey, check this out,"
Mm-hmm.
He just had it lying around, but the fact that he even had it already, I was like, "Oh, I want to listen to it," because at the time too, MTV was still good,
Yeah.
and pumping out music, and that always stuck too, because there was always music playing
Mm-hmm.
every day in, day out, no matter how. It's just music always playing. And for me to just get into the know of music structure and all that other stuff too, it just keeps getting better.
When did you? Because you were performing, doing karaoke. When did you start thinking about becoming an active participant in music?
Um, I always wanted to be on the radio.
Okay.
So
At what age did you really
this
start
was still like
considering that?
10, 12 years old
Uh-huh.
still. Wanted to be on the radio. I was always listening to the radio, and the radio's always on somewhere. I was working at the flea market at 10 years old.
Yeah.
Millions of radios on at the same time.
Hustling.
Yeah, and um, my mom at the time, it was like 104.3 or something,
Mm-hmm.
which is today's 107.5 or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, right? I think it was like Kathy, Larry, and all them.
Yeah.
My mom took me to go meet them at
Wow.
Best Buy
Yeah.
when they were doing their releases of their CDs
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. And she knew. I think she knew too.
She was nudging you
Yeah,
towards something that she knew you enjoyed.
yeah, yeah. And we went, I met them, and who knew that 10 years later I was going to be working with those guys.
Right?
Yeah. So I think they know. And, every time I found like radios or like walkie-talkies at the house,
Yeah.
I'd always tape mine on and
Yeah.
I'd go leave the other one somewhere else in the
Yeah.
living room or something
And perform.
and do a show.
Wow.
Yeah.
When was the first time you got behind the turntables? Where did that start?
I've always, I mean, that was the thing when I saw it. I always wanted to touch one, feel one, play with one, but I didn't get to until I was at least 14. And that was from a high school friend.
Mm-hmm.
And, I talked to him about it, and he was like, "Hey, I have a pair at home.
Yeah.
You want to come over?" Oh, man, is the school over yet? I want to go now.
Yeah.
And I ended up buying that pair from him
Wow.
probably the next day.
Yeah, as soon as you could.
Oh, yeah. And then I broke it that day too.
What kind of turntables were they? Do
It
you
was the
remember?
belt drive, Newmark. It's kind of starter kit,
Yeah.
whatever.
Newmark belt drives.
Yeah, but I didn't know nothing about belt and direct at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then they had those rubber mats that come with it.
Mm-hmm.
I never took that off.
Yeah.
So I went in there, started cutting on it, burned the motor out
Burnt the motor out. Yeah.
quick. But at the time too, because we could work back in the day, about 15, 14, especially with like a consent or whatever.
Yeah.
My next check went to turntables.
Wow.
Yeah.
What kind of work were you doing?
I started at Colorado Ski and Golf.
Okay.
I was a rental person, just renting out skis and snowboards. My first job, that was cool. You know, I learned how to ski and snowboard and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
then I worked at like Skate City because I
Yeah.
played a lot of hockey.
Did you ever see yourself DJing at Skate City?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But at the time, because I was still trying to figure my me.
Yeah, you're trying to figure it
Yeah,
out.
like okay, yeah, I love music. That's not gonna go away, but I love hockey. I love skating. I love this. I love that. And I was good at everything I did, but the DJing still, you know, took over, and it just always had the priority over others. But my music kept me out of trouble
Yeah.
because in high school, honestly, I felt like that was the worst 4 years of my life. But I think it's just because of me learning the world
Yeah.
and myself at the same time. Because I've never thought of races. You know, this race, that race has to do this race has to do that, whatever. And when I came from Denver, I didn't care. Hang out with skaters, hang out with anybody, you know, whatever, because I just love everybody.
Yeah.
When I went to Aurora, it was like different.
It
There's
was
cliques.
divided.
Yeah, it was divided because you're growing up. People are like, "Oh, you're not hanging out with the popular kids. You're not hanging out this or,
Yeah.
you know." And I'm like, I didn't know that was a thing. And then, but I felt like I was behind anyway because learning English and all that, and learning the culture here, you know, like it was different because of what I saw in my household was just we
Yeah.
didn't care what color you were.
It's crazy that you could come from Denver and experience one thing and drive down the road,
Oh yeah.
pre-internet, 3,
Oh
4,
man.
5 miles, and it was a whole different
It was
culture
so
shock.
bad. It was. It was definitely. And I was like, I want to skate with these guys. I want to hang out with these guys because I like that music too. I like these guys. You know, just I didn't care. I didn't care about color or race. But you know, obviously being in an ESL class, it was all nothing but minorities anyway. You know what I mean? So I didn't see anything. My eyes were just not tuned to see different
Yeah.
because everybody's the same. It's just everybody's human.
Humans are humans.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So then that took me down a really dark path because the Asians were like, you gotta hang out with us,
Yeah.
you know, and this and that. But
Yeah, but you guys aren't skating.
yeah, or whatever. So I did it
Yeah.
because of peer pressure,
Sure.
you know, and I got into a lot of trouble, a lot of trouble. And till this day, I don't know if I have very many Asian friends still. I don't have nothing against them, but you know, it's just like left a bad taste in my mouth for a minute there. But I grew out of it eventually. But with that being said, instead of getting into trouble, I locked myself in the basement for the last 2 years of high school
With those turntables.
with the turntables
Wow.
because there was no YouTube yet. There was none of that. There was VHS tapes of scratching that probably broke the VCR more than anything because I just rewind.
What DJs were you looking up to?
Oh, I mean, it's just all the OGs at the time, right? You know, Qbert, all those guys. It's just-
Qbert, Mixmaster Mike.
yeah, all the OGs.
Yeah.
Because that Scratch movie was out, and then all those because there's no tutorials.
Mr. Dibs and the 1200 Hobos.
Yeah, so that was it, and just mimicking those guys is just by sound, because you know some things were like mixtapes, scratching mixtapes that were available like on Federal. You know, all these mixtapes and all that, and you just hear it. Couldn't see it, so I didn't know how to.
So you're inventing your own version of it.
This sounds like that. This sounds like this. If I do that, it sounds like that. Now I put it together. You know, so like I said, kids nowadays got it easy.
Right.
You know, if you want to learn something, Google, YouTube, whatever, and that that helps a lot. So now I'm actually trying to utilize that. Like if I was born yesterday too, you know, and we were in that generation where we had to learn the internet in general. Yeah, and that I felt like was a big learning thing too because we are so old school. You know, trying to just do it we're that generous. Just go out and
Just
do it.
dive in
Just
head
do it.
first.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah. If you're gonna fall down anyway, just do it. Whatever.
When did you play your first gig and where did you play it?
My first gig was at my friend that sold me the turntables.
Uh-huh.
His graduation party.
Okay.
They hired me to do his graduation party, which is the dopest thing in the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it went on from there. It was just a whole bunch of house parties until high school was over.
Well, let's talk about that first gig. What was it like controlling the room for the first time?
You know, honestly, I don't think I even thought about it at that point because records I didn't have very many of.
Yeah.
I think the presence of me being there and just having my friends just vibing to no matter what I was doing was just it. It was a spark I already knew that I had because just touching those turntables and playing music, just everything, just performing again I already knew that was my thing. But I also knew that nothing would stop me from trying to be the best at this. Once I touched a pair, it's like, this is what I want to do.
How long did you DJ in Denver, and did you start getting attention and sort of love on the radio before you went to Vegas or after you came back?
So I was still working a full-time job till about 22, 23 years old. And I met a couple guys there through that job that introduced me to the owners of the Roxy at the time.
Yeah.
Right? And, you know, did that. My first real club bar gig was that, the Roxy, because I did just nothing but house parties and private events until then.
Yeah.
Right? And then they were like, oh, if you're serious, you want to get in it, I'll introduce you. So then first gig was at the Roxy. Then I met a whole bunch of DJs from there and networked from there.
Kind of found your circle.
I did.
Yeah.
Or they found me.
Sure.
Either or, right?
What was that like, having felt as an outsider to a certain extent or stretched trying to fit in and be around all these people, and then you finally pursue a path, and that path leads you to people that speak the same language as you, like the DJ community.
That was great because, like I said, we were on that generation to learn social media and all that also. And without that, I felt like I was just DJing alone anyway.
Right.
So the networking in person is so much different than networking online.
Yeah.
It'll always be that way. You know, the presence of being in front of somebody, shaking somebody's hand is going to always be the go-to. Then, you know what I mean? So when I met everybody that I did meet at the Roxy, that created a spark too, because now I'm networking and that pushes me to be better, because now I met a whole bunch of people that are probably better than me, but can teach me too and are willing to.
You guys all bring something to the table, and you guys can learn from each other.
Right. So, you know, that's all. And finding a mentor.
Who was your first mentor?
Chones.
DJ Chones. Shout out to Chones.
Chones, yeah. I always give Chones his flowers, you know, no matter what. Because without him, you know, he was that big brother I never had.
Yeah.
We always had a love-hate relationship, like a brother. Brothers do, you know. And I always give that man his flowers for sure. Even before I met him, he was my mentor. I tell everybody all the time, I was going through a divorce at around 24, 25. I got married kind of young. So I was going through my feelings, whatever, at the time. And there was a big snowstorm. And I was at my mom's house. And I came across a Chones video.
Yeah. It
was, I think, on the news or whatever, right? And he was talking about Serato. Yeah. Talking about how he has his music on a laptop and all of that stuff. Yeah. You know, and I Googled him up, you know, started following him everywhere. And then I Googled up Serato,
the equipment
program.
And tools.
And that's what I did. So the next check went to that too.
Wow.
Because the biggest thing that ever held me back from the age of 14 to 21, whatever, it's not enough music.
Lugging records around.
Yeah. And I didn't have a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time too, yeah, I love music and all that, but I was still young. So cars, food,
Yeah.
partying,
Sure.
because you're still young.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just trying to figure out what do you
figuring
want to
out
do.
life.
Just figuring it out. So that wasn't my number one priority, but that's what held me back in order to further my career in the music. But that program helped because as kids and the internet starting with the LimeWire, all those like Napster and all
Yeah.
that. So, you know, a whole bunch of corrupted files in the computer
Yeah.
waiting to be played somehow.
Yeah.
So we did that. But after getting that program, playing at the Roxy, met Chones. Chones had a record pool. And at the time, they didn't exist very much. Nobody was servicing music like they do today, because you could just jump on and grab some site and get music. At the time, he was servicing actual live vinyls and MP3s. So that helped out tremendously. And then from there, you know, he kind of adopted me into his family, his crew. And I learned from a lot from the people in his crew.
How quickly, how, like, once you started interacting with Chones and learning from him, how quickly was the learning curve? Like, how quickly did you advance?
So, very, very fast.
Yeah.
Actually, because, like I said, I would do anything and just sit in front of a turntable and learn. And if you teach me something, I'm gonna go and practice it until I got it down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so with him, you know, he has so many great DJs in his crew that, you know, I became friends with everyone and learned all the different styles, all the different techniques, and just applied it and made it my own. So yeah, that helped. But I'm like a sponge when it comes to that. Certain other things, you know, I'm very selective of what is contained in here because the space is limited. You know?
Space is limited. Did you start at that time in your mid to late 20s? You know, did you start feeling like you were on your path? You started having an idea of what you wanted to do full time.
Yeah, because I remember I told you I had those ambitions to be on the radio.
Yeah.
And Chones was on the radio.
Yeah, he was already there.
Killing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's already like 5-10 years deep. You know, killing it, paving the way. But knowing him, and then I'm like, okay, well, how I'm gonna be like Mike? You know, how do I do it? You know, teach me the ways. So he was on there, just practicing, and then the slots have to open up because obviously there's limited spots on the radio. One spot came open, I applied, you know, put my resume in and put in some mixes, and I didn't get it first time around. So Chones gave me good feedback though, you know, because he's the one who at least gave me the interview, got me in where I need to be. And then, hey man, you just didn't make it this time. That's cool.
Yeah.
But what did I do wrong? What can I do better? You know, he's like, yeah, X, Y, Z. Here we go. All right, cool. You know, a little bit of time passes by, another slot comes up, and I got it.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's
For what was the radio station?
107.5.
KS 175.
Yeah.
Word.
So I was on that station for 18 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the best thing. I cried obviously when I got it. I cried when I left
Sure.
because
Well, let's rewind that.
Yeah.
You're now stepping into the doorway of your ambition or childhood dream, right? You're living out your childhood fantasy. You're becoming a radio DJ, a radio personality. What was that like, walking through the doors?
Best thing ever, because now it's real, and everything I thought it was gonna be is 10 times more than it was.
Okay.
And that always helps put fuel into the fire. You know, because you knew what it was, in a sense,
From the outside.
from the outside. But once you get in the nitty gritty, you're just like, yeah,
Wow.
give me more, you know? But
How nervous were you that first time you went on air?
oh my God. So I couldn't even get in the building for one. And Slim at the time
Yeah.
let me in, you know, and he was just like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm nervous. Like, I'm shaking. You know, I'm about to be live." Because the thought of being in front of 200, 400 people, cool, no problem. You know, I
No big
get it.
deal.
But then you're like, "Yeah, who's listening?"
Yeah.
You know, it's such a bigger.
Well, this is a dream that you've carried with you from your childhood.
Right. So it's like once you see that on air, you're like, oh man,
We're
it's a
here.
game. You can't, you know what I mean? Um, but yeah, that was a whole different sort of anxiety, you know. But like I said, I just wanted to be great.
How was it different from playing live at a club, bar, party, whatever, to playing live on the radio? Like, what
I think,
was there a transition or learning curve
oh
there?
yeah, definitely, because there's structure and there's what's I'm gonna call it? What is it called? Programming, right? And that I feel hands down is what has put me ahead of the game, even till today,
Yeah.
because of knowing how to program music. Everybody has the music,
Yeah.
but when to play it is the biggest thing.
Taking people on that journey.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing to have. That's so much power right there. Because if you give this DJ 10 songs, you give this DJ 10 songs, you know, they'll play it great too. But did they play it at the right time?
Did they arc and
Yeah,
create a story and a
right.
formula?
And that's that secret sauce that not a lot of people have. And I think that's what has helped me excel.
Yeah.
And you can tell the DJs have been on the radio and how they control a room compared to a DJ that's just been in there and done it.
Yeah.
But you can tell the big difference.
Yeah, of course.
And that's what, you know, helped a lot. Radio. So that helped bridge over to club and everything else that I've excelled into. And that's great because that was my dream anyway, is to be on the radio, and it helped me become a better person in general and more knowledgeable of everything.
What was it like for that time being at KS175 and getting into the rhythm? What was it like growing and evolving in that format?
Um, yeah, I don't. That's just evolving in general was learning. Is the mixing portion was big a difference, right? Because
Well, and I mean because playing you're playing local parties or whatever, and then you've transitioned doing some club things, and then you kind of break through to live out your childhood dream, right? But you're working amongst the best of the best, the elite, right? Like, what was that like getting to that elite level? And what was it looking around, and in the lobby you got some of the best DJs around?
right. I think it always held me to a higher standard. So it pushed me harder for sure, you know, and I always wanted to be on the same level as everybody else or exceed that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't want to be the bottom. I just didn't want to just be that guy just waiting for a handout or somebody to call in. I want to be, you know, you give me that shot, I guarantee I'm going to kill that audition. And I'll always have, you know, fortunately, I have that skill
Yeah.
to put me on that level. But it was all,
Probably dates back to performing at the parties with your dad.
oh yeah. But see,
Battle tested.
that helped because he taught me like music counts and stuff. I know some DJs that have been DJing for a long time that still don't know 8 bars. They don't understand it, you know.
Yeah.
But the other thing that helped too is because when I worked at the DJ school in Vegas, teaching something is different than
Well, what took you? You're living out your dreams. You're DJing at a high level. You're on the radio. What then inspired you to take that to Las Vegas, and why Las Vegas?
big fish in a small pond,
Okay.
right, in Denver.
Yeah.
I did every bar at the time, every nightclub. Where do I go now? You know, and how do I further my name and get bigger and better? So I took it to the entertainment party capital of almost the world, right?
Yeah.
Vegas. It's like if you make it in Vegas, you make it anywhere.
Sure.
So I was stuck in, next on a rock and a hard place, and I was like, you know what? This is the time. Like I can DJ here for $100 a night, and still not enough to pay my bills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's not going to get any better. So if this is what I'm going to do, I got to take it seriously and grow so I can make more money doing what I love to do. So I moved to Vegas, and that was a big eye opener. Learned so much out there with even money management. Like the nightclubs at the time were paying the night of. I go to Vegas 30 days out. I got to learn to manage money.
Yeah.
That's something I wasn't very good at. So I learned that. And then I learned about booking and networking and shaking hands and doing this, doing that.
Start tapping into some of your mom's
Right.
entrepreneurial lessons from early on.
But the big lesson too was to humble me down,
Yeah.
because like every DJ, I have a big ego, and I went out there thinking I was gonna destroy some stuff, but they're on a whole different level, man. If you made it in Vegas, you're on high levels, and humble me quick. First week I was out there, I was like, yeah, I better shut up, sit down.
What was the first club in Vegas you played?
LAX was one of them.
Word.
Stuff like that. But I was in like all the MGM Resort, doing all the center bars,
Yep.
because there's a lot of those, and the pools.
There's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah. So I did all those, and then went to Chateau, LAX, all of those places at the time. But yeah, but it took a lot of humbling, but it hit quick, real fast and real hard. It's for me to just sit down real quick and kind of reevaluate myself, but eventually.
Another steep learning curve.
Right. But just like I met people here, I met a lot of people out there, absorbed what they had to offer, to learn from them, applied it. Now I'm on that level. And as long as my cup's not full, and I don't act like my cup's full all the time, and I can continue to add to it, sky's the limit.
Yeah.
If you just don't cap yourself off about learning, because there's always something to learn.
Absolutely.
Always something to learn, no matter what you do. And as long as you're open-minded about it, and you're good at taking criticism, because you're going to get a lot of it, even good and bad.
Yeah.
Probably more bad, tell you the truth. Because the good stuff, it's probably from family and friends and stuff. But that's a big part of it too. I tell my friends, I tell my family, like, if I suck, tell me I suck.
Yeah, let me know.
Because then I can work on it. But if you gas me up and I suck, I'm just gonna continue to suck.
You're not doing me any favors.
Yeah, you're not doing me no favors at all. That was a big thing. And my family's never gassed me up like that. And my friends too. If you're gassing me up right now at this point too in my career, I'm like, what do you want? You know what I mean? Let's be real. That transition sucked. And you're still like, damn, that was dope.
You're killing it.
Yeah. So what do you want? Why are you gassing me up? So now it's like different red flags. But I think that's the chip on the shoulder that every DJ has, especially the OG DJs. Just because it's like, somebody always wants something.
Yeah.
There's a backstory. It's still cutthroat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you learn all that being in the process. So how long did you stay in Vegas DJing? 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah, about 8 to 10 years.
And you came back and forth for
I did,
events
for sure.
here?
Well, yeah, and
did some radio stuff here too?
My daughter was here too.
Okay.
So I had to come back. Like there was no way I just can not come back, right? And all my family is here. But it was a big difference. It went from, like I said, 100 a night before I left to Vegas to a minimum of 100 an hour when I came back. And that's a big difference. Because if back in the day, if I did 30 gigs, that's still not enough to pay my bills.
Sure.
You know, now I can do a few, pay some bills and eat.
Yeah, and after playing on that higher level, like you refined your skills, now you can stand on that price point too.
Right. So, but the resume just kept getting better and better and better. And from some brand ambassadors to sponsorships to anything you name that comes along with the entertainment industry, it helps out a lot. But somebody opens the door for you all the time. So it's always, it's good to have good friends. And,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because you can always meet somebody that can help you do something better than what you're doing now,
Yeah.
for sure.
When did the business start evolving for you? Because I know, you've been on the radio, you've been a part of crews, you've been playing big clubs, but then in time, you started kind of mentoring your own DJs and sort of creating a network of bar and club gigs yourself that you started. Sometimes you would play it, other times you would have other artists play it. When did that piece of the business, like when did you realize that could become a business, and when did it all come together?
So, with the name that I made for myself, obviously I was getting booked a lot. And it got to the point where it's too many bookings, which was a great problem to have.
Sure.
But I didn't want to lose out on the money, even though I wasn't there. So how do I still make that money without being there? Hiring my friends, hiring the other DJs, right? So I took what I learned from Vegas and in the agency that I was with there, and all their bad stuff that they did towards me and my peers at the time at that agency, I took that and I applied it to my own agency. And that's helped me a lot because I took their secret sauce and I took what they were really bad at and made it better.
Yeah.
And I apply it here now in Denver. And I have 25 guys under me now, and we're all eating good, And yeah, so that's how that kind of evolved because the gigs were good, too good, which is great, like I said, and to get all the homies in there, to get everybody else eating good too, you know. But never branded it, to tell you the truth, my agency.
No, but it was known, and me being in the club space, as I got to know you over the years, I knew that I could rely on you to fill gaps. I mean, I remember a couple years ago, I was doing some consultant work for a club, and I went and did what I did, and they were trying to hire me on. I didn't want it. So when the consulting gig was done, there was after work, and I was able to give you the after work,
Yeah.
which then you started programming events for them.
Right. It takes a lot of experience in this industry because there's so many ways for people to undercut you and not give you what you're worth. And so after learning, I mean, even from you, I learned a lot from you, and how you move and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm a big sponge, and if
Yeah.
it applies to what I'm doing, I'm willing to sit down.
That's the most important thing, right? Like
And learn
absorbing
it.
information and allowing yourself to be open to
Right.
that flow of
Right.
information.
So, I mean, I even took from you, like, how would he manage this? What would this, what would the genre be? What would the theme be? All of that stuff. And the stuff that you don't think about. And then working into the pricing, obviously, because we're trying to get paid, right? And learning to make sure that you're still taking care of your people, because if they're not happy, you don't have nobody anyway, and the gig's not going to be successful, right? So just to make sure that, but still have enough to make some money
Yeah.
out of it, because there's a lot of back end work. People don't understand it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed from you is you've always made yourself useful and then monetize that usefulness, right? Like whether you're making flyers for multiple things that aren't necessarily connected to you, or you're putting DJs in a position and taking a percentage, or however, but you're becoming useful, and then you monetize it.
Right. Because there's always a way to make money, and it wasn't always about the money, for sure, but you still grow. My family grew, a lot of things grew. You know what I mean? And it requires money.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. And so as long as I have this passion for something that's making me a lot of money, in order to grow it, I have to be a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
And I have to evolve with the times, just like the internet and all this stuff. So I got to utilize all my tools. Why set myself back? I got to stay above and ahead of the curve all the time. And I think that's what keeps me motivated, for sure. I mean, making sure my kids are taken care of, and that involves money,
Yeah.
you know? And yeah, all of that. So it all comes down to it. Like I said, I go home every day and I'm very thankful because I look around and I have a lot of stuff that I've always wanted, and my kids have everything they need, but it's all because of DJ.
Yeah.
Uh,
Are you still involved on any level with the Thai community? Like, do you
no, not as much.
how like what is the Thai community in Denver, right? Like how
It's
has
actually
it
getting
grown?
bigger. Yeah. I mean, because I go to the temple.
Yeah.
I don't go a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I go for like holidays, whatever.
Yeah.
Somebody's birthday, whatever. But I notice it's just getting bigger and
Mm-hmm.
bigger. But I mean, there's not much for me to do
Mm-hmm.
in the Thai community, to tell you the truth. The only thing that when it comes to even the Thai culture or anything like that, I just don't want to lose knowing the language.
Yeah.
It's the biggest thing,
Mm-hmm.
because I try to learn languages every day.
Mm-hmm.
Even Spanish, because all my kids are half.
Yeah.
And if I don't want to lose it, that's the hardest thing to do, is learn another language.
Yeah.
And so I speak it as much as I can
Yeah.
to my family, or whatever.
Going to Thai restaurants.
Yeah. But so yeah, there's not much for me in that community. I don't spin the music. I don't have the music. I don't have nothing, But I go for the culture, my culture, and I take it for what it is. Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I still am very proud of who I am and where I came from, or where my family came from, but nothing generally for business or career in that
There's
realm.
no laundromats or
No.
in your future.
No, I mean,
Or is there?
if I could buy another laundromat, sheesh, that'd be great. Those are hard to come by.
I know.
We know how businesses are hard to come by, and the ones that are kind of self-ran are even harder to come by. Car washes.
What's on the
laundromats.
horizon for you? Like what is that next breakthrough moment, like getting on the radio or going to Vegas?
Honestly, after COVID too, there wasn't any big goals for my career, which is weird because I always had a plan,
Yeah.
right? But I'm stabilizing what I have, and then trying to make that be self-sufficient, just like everything else, like a laundromat,
Yeah.
right? You kind of just need to tap in, collect the money, and
Well, that's, you're talking about your mom's entrepreneurship in your early stage of life. You saw her running around refining and building her business and her hustle, and then it seems like as you have evolved, you started applying that to what you do, making your thing streamlined and staging up and turning it into a business.
I mean, I think what it was, I mean, honestly, without even being technical, is it doesn't matter if you're tired, it doesn't matter how you feel, you just got to get up and do it.
Yeah.
That's it. And then, nothing's instantaneous. You have to wait it out. Good things take a lot of work, and you have to start that clock too. If it takes a year and you procrastinate, that time never starts. If you know it takes a year, then start it now. Because that year's not going to go by until you start.
Yeah.
The clock doesn't start.
That first repetition or whatever doesn't start until you start.
Like buying a house, right? They tell you it's 2 years. If you don't start today, that's 2 years still not going to go by, And same thing with everything else. You just have to trust the process. It's there for a reason. And then,
something that you gave me, on my journey was during the time when I'm running the clubs and I'm in there wild and I had always struggled with drugs and alcohol, and that was kind of a thing. I remember you had went sober, and it was the first time I had somebody I had known and was close to. I had seen them live in the world that we lived and successfully pull that off. And so it made it real for me. And that was like, okay. And then when the time was right, I was able to pull that trigger. And, now I'm like 5 years sober and whatever.
Right. So yes, I'm 7 years sober.
Mm-hmm.
I did it not because I felt like there was a problem.
Sure.
I just did it to better myself.
Yeah, for me, it was a problem. I was out there
Yeah.
wild in the
Well-
wind. And just seeing somebody like yourself that had been working on such a high level make that transition, it made it real.
Yeah.
And like you just said, you're 7 years sober, I'm 5 years sober, so there's still probably 2 years in there
Oh my
where
God.
you were playing at the clubs, weekly or bi-weekly or whatever it was. So I was seeing you and watching how you responded and reacted, and now to this day, when I get with other artists, DJs, promoters, whatever, that are struggling with that problem, I sit with them and kind of talk through some of the things we discussed during that time.
I still do that till this day.
Mhm.
I got on a couple posts actually yesterday or this morning, people trying to get sober,
Mhm.
and um, that's you don't realize how influential you are until people actually look up to you for those
Yeah.
things, right? I didn't do it for any kind of notoriety or anything, it wasn't a cool thing to do at the time or whatever. I just did it for myself.
Sure.
But after I did it, I noticed it caused a ripple effect
Yeah.
into the community, and it's great. And it was a great positive
Mhm.
ripple effect because, people hit me up all the time, like what was the process? Like you said, and how did you get away from that? Knowing that every DJ booth faces a bar.
Mhm.
And the first thing people want to do is,
I've had many talks with DJs, and one of the things they always tell me is like, well, I feel like I'm gonna lose that connection with the people if I'm not in that headspace. Like, how do I maintain that? And I've given them my piece of advice, but I'm sure you have something to say about that.
oh yeah, absolutely. But I did lose that. But what it was because I wanted to be on their level, right? So I wanted to feel what they're feeling at the time that they're feeling it, and my music would make, how that would make them feel. But after that disconnect, you evolve even more because I think the sets that I was playing at the time that I was drinking, they probably were good, but they probably weren't my best.
Mm-hmm.
Because at a certain point in the night, after a long night of drinking, you go on autopilot,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't get creative anymore. You go to what's comfortable. Right. So I had to learn again to DJ without that,
Yeah.
So what I do, it's a fixation like cigarettes and all that stuff. So I have to trick my mind still to this day that I'm drinking. And I do so with like Red Bull or
Quick stimulants.
yeah, some kind of stimulant, just some kind of taste to feel like I'm a part of it, the
Yeah.
party still, lost a lot of party friends,
Mm-hmm.
because they were always there just to be
For
there,
that.
or my tab,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But yeah, that disconnect is real. It's real because you just don't feel like. But now, since I've grown out of that, now I can control the room even better. And knowing that I'm doing it
So
so
it's like initially there was a disconnect, but then as you refined your DJing process sober, you reconnected
Right.
in a more profound way,
Right.
Because you had a stronger sense of how to put out the best possible
Right.
set or
just the best possible me. Like I tell everybody that missed that phase of my life, I wasn't what's a bad person when I was drinking. I was fun. I always wanted people to have fun.
Yeah.
All of that stuff, but the thing was everything's behind closed doors, and after the lights turn off at the club, all that is what happens. So it was me was driving home
Yeah.
was a big thing because I have $3,000-$4,000 worth of equipment with me every night, and the last thing I would do is leave that downtown
Yeah.
in a car
Chilling.
or anywhere.
And so now you're putting yourself at risk, and
Right.
that could jeopardize your family, everything.
Everything. And I did it also for my daughter, my
Yeah.
kids, because when I stopped, I just had my second kid, my daughter, and I was coming home trying to change diapers and stuff, and just alcohol smell oozing through my pores and stuff. And I just didn't feel like that was the right for my kids,
Yeah.
so I just kind of just stopped. I mean, I did go through a really bad, I mean, we got pulled over. The very last day I was drinking, we got pulled over. I was not driving. It was my friend that was driving. They pulled us over at gunpoint, too. I was in the back seat, they just legalized marijuana too. So, we were indulging, right? And I was in the back seat and like I said, they drew their guns. I don't know why. But we got out of the car and I was like, damn, where they're dead or going to jail.
Yeah.
Whatever. I got out. The officer that had me was just like looking at me kind of sideways. I was like, oh, man, he's just going to shoot me or something's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, I know you. I was like, oh, God. And he was like, you're DJ Tanastadi. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, give me a sec. He goes, whatever. Comes back. He's like, hey, man, can I get a picture with you? I called you an Uber. I need you to get home safe.
Yeah.
Your friend that was driving might not have the same ticket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, I understand that you're a good person and this and that. And after that,
that was the
cold turkey.
moment. It was time to be done.
Yeah. I mean, it was good in the fact that I got recognized, but not for something I wanted to be recognized for, but it helped because like I've done so much in the community that the name helped me get out of that one.
Yeah.
At least. But it was too close. You know what I mean?
Too close for comfort.
Too close for comfort after that. Because it could have been me. Because I told my friend I was going to drive.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, man, like I do this every day, unfortunately. Let me do it. I don't want you to get in trouble. And he got pulled over for not having his lights on.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even anything crazy. But we only made it 2 blocks.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a whole different story too. But still, at the end of the day, it could have been me.
And it could have ended poorly. And so making the decision to, protect yourself and put you in a position to be home with the family the right way and so on.
But that one decision to stop has trickled into so many other things. And it saved me money that I knew I was spending, but I didn't realize I was spending so much. Because we do get the tabs, we get all this free alcohol and sponsorships and all that, but at the end of the day, even if you gave me a tab, I still got to take care of the bartender.
Well, I mean, let's take that immediate monetary effect out, right? And let's think about the creative effect that drinking regularly causes. When you're a bar professional, meaning you are around liquor, serving liquor, involved with liquor, 3 to 7 days a week, your access to that becomes limitless. And so, if you're indulging and you're catching a buzz, let's just say you're not even getting drunk. Let's just say you catch a buzz every night, 365 days a year or 200 days a year. It takes X amount of time for that alcohol to run through your system and your brain to get back to the place where you can be in peak position, right? And so as a creative person, if you're constantly indulging in drugs or alcohol, not, do what you do, but it takes time to recover from that. And you're not able to be your best at any juncture of your life because you're just drinking too much. It's nothing against alcohol, right? Most people, they go to the bar 1 or 2 times a week, however that goes, and that's what that experience is. But when you're, like I said, a bar professional, a club professional, and you have that access and you're drinking 5-6 days a week, you never you're starting to spend more time intoxicated than you are sober, and your brain is affected by that.
Right. So with that being said, I didn't think I was an alcoholic. I didn't drink. I didn't wake up and just throw him back, right?
Yeah.
Or anything like that. But one person told me, he was like, "You're, let's call it what it is. You're just a scheduled alcoholic." You know, and I was like, "Damn, I didn't think about it like that." Because yeah, I'm in the club 5 days a week, 5 nights a week. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? But I didn't think it was a problem. And so that even put me into a different train of thought where I'm like, yeah, maybe it was a problem.
Yeah.
You know, so that
Just a
what I'm
problem you were
doing is
used
right.
to.
Yeah, it's a problem I was used to.
Yeah, it's like a broken tail out in a car. You're just used to it.
Right.
You know,
But you gotta fix it.
you got to fix it, otherwise it'll come back to haunt you eventually.
Right, eventually. And health wise too, I lost about 45, 50 pounds a month in, easy. All water weight. Asians can't process alcohol like others. And normally you get the glow for Asians. I didn't get a glow. I retained water.
Yeah.
But with the amount of alcohol I was taking,
Uh-huh.
my body knew to retain it because this guy's gonna have to work tonight
Yeah.
or in tomorrow and all
Yeah.
that. And once that went away, literally, like,
So let's switch gears. What's next for you on this journey, right? Like you've already you worked indirect and directly with the radio station for well over a decade. You played some of the biggest clubs in Las Vegas. You have a very respectable name in Denver. You play multiple clubs. You have a system. You kind of have a network of DJs under you that you book and play out with. Are you as engaged with DJing now as you were way back when, and what's next for your path as a DJ?
I'm definitely still engaged. I need it as an outlet, so it's not gonna go away.
I've been seeing you pop up online doing little sets. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
here we
yeah,
go.
yeah. So keeping up with times again with socials, that's a big deal. And finding time to keep up with times to do content for socials is a big deal. But as far as what's coming up next is like I said, it's everything's stable now with
Yeah.
my career, and I love. But I want to make sure that I don't lose my love for it because it's more money driven.
It's a career now.
It's a career,
Yeah.
right? So I don't want to lose that passion. So I try to step away as much as I can and take the gigs that I want instead of what I need. And in order for me to do that, I have to put other things in place around my career to make sure that everything's still taken care of on the other, my actual life.
Yeah.
Like, on the family side.
Balance. You
Yeah.
got to always maintain the balance.
Right. So in order for me, like I said, not to lose that passion, I am opening up things and starting other career paths that have nothing to do with music.
Yeah. Recently, you launched a food truck.
Yes, I did. I have a boba truck now.
Oh,
for
yeah.
that. Thank you for for getting me into that. A lot of things, I'm just trying out other things that I knew that I wanted to do, but never just applied myself to do so.
You're very active in the car community.
I am very active in the car community, but everything still ties into DJing still some way, somehow, because
Well, that's what you are. It's who
right,
you are. You show
because
up. That's what it is.
I show up, I'll DJ at the car event. Now I can bring my boba truck to the car event, and I send DJs to other car events that I
Yeah.
can't do. So everything that we've just talked about still kind of goes into everything, no matter what. And the boba truck, same thing. There's music. There's always a venue or a festival or something that needs food and drinks, like everything else, and apply it. And I apply everything to what I know. Just like you know the culture, all these things. And even though if you open up a car dealership, you open up anything you want, you're still gonna put your
The hope is you allow yourself to be a part of it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You still put your your touch.
your little juice, your little sauce.
And you do it very well, and I admire you for it a lot, and I try to do the same thing, But with my brand, they know to expect the high standard of everything. So that's why I can't half step anything.
No half stepping.
No, none, because it's my brand is all I have, and at the end of the day, that carries on to everything I do. If I open up the boba truck, I open up a sushi spot or something, it's still my brand that got me here, and that networking and the following that I have that's going to help me launch whatever it is I want to do. So I have to protect my brand.
You want to be able to stand on it.
Yeah. So at all costs, I got to protect that brand.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm very like, all the DJs I hire, I take it personal. I get it's business, but it's personal because you're using my name. You're under my brand.
You're very cautious.
Yeah. So it takes a minute. There's a lot of newer DJs coming out. They want to hit me up and stuff, but I know they're gonna go through the same struggles I did to get to where I'm at, and you have to let them grow
naturally
to get all that out of their system before they can kind of be a part of that roster.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard already. And as you know, accounts and stuff don't come easy. And after you get it, it doesn't even get easier. It gets even harder because you still got to nurture it. You still have to keep that relationship going, and you got a whole bunch of other responsibilities you just put on yourself by taking that account.
Yeah.
And so all that back end work, man, that takes a toll on you for sure. But that's something you got to learn, and you got to be good at, because there's a million people trying to do what we're doing.
Yeah.
But the thing that I've learned, especially with you, is you just got to keep fighting for it. If you believe in it that much, you just got to keep going.
I call it rolling the rock up the hill.
Oh God, it just seems like it gets bigger.
It does get bigger.
It's just like.
Or with this project, rolling the ice cream cone up the hill.
Oh my God! But you learn. The more you learn, the more knowledge you have on anything, business and stuff, you just want to apply it more because it's like, dang, that was kind of cool.
I have this desire to try everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like a little kid in that way. And so I just jump out the window, and if it works, awesome. Yeah. But if it doesn't work, I don't get lost in that. Like, I just jump on to the next thing. Like, I just have to, there's this desire to explore and experiment and create and learn. And if I'm not doing that, I feel like I'm not living.
Right.
And that's just my deal.
I just feel like there's so much to do. There's so much you can do, right? And there should be no limits. As long as you continue, just like the content you were just talking about that I'm starting, right? I have so many friends that have been successful in that realm, and they're just like, dude, just do it.
That's the main thing. Yeah, show up.
Just do it. It doesn't matter how many likes, how many views, how many whatever it is. As long as you're consistent and trust the process, eventually it's only going to take one viral.
Just like when you got that first no mark bell-driven turntable. Yeah. Trust the process, work at it, grow, evolve.
And I fell flat on my face.
Yeah.
That was first try. I fell flat on my face.
Yeah.
But that sparked even a more urge to want to be better.
Yeah.
So, being to fail isn't failing to me. To some people it might be, I just take that as a stepping stone and even more motivation to do better next time.
Refine it and perfect it.
Right. Because I was like, there's no way, that this is the way it's supposed to be. I'm like, I love it so much. There's no way I suck at it this bad or whatever it is.
This has to be learnable.
Yeah. But it is. Anything is. Honestly,
Everything
you could do anything,
Everything that we see in this world didn't exist at some point until somebody applied themselves and created that, whatever it is.
Right.
And so when you're out there in the world and you're trying to do something unique, jump out the window, make it happen, because it's up to you.
But that hump of going from being a boy to a man, with every business, that exists. That's real. You know what I mean? That process is real, and that's why not a lot of people have businesses or not a lot of people are successful, because once they get there, they stop. And thankfully, I have people like you in my life that push, like, dude, you're almost there. You're almost there. Just, I'm like, oh my God, this is not what I thought it was going to be. But after you get past that hump, man, there's so much more opportunity and a better life on the other side. But it's gonna get worse before it gets better, like anything else
Yeah.
in this world. But that's what separates the men from the boys.
I even find myself enjoying the difficult stuff, right? Like that's where you the nuggets of like knowledge and truth is, and that's what you like. For me, I like going in and doing whatever, failing, figuring it out, and like bringing those jewels back, right, on the journey. So it's like, if everything's easy, you don't really learn. Like, you just fly through it,
Right.
But if it's hard and you're struggling and you got to fucking do your thing and thug through it, you're gonna find some lessons that are unique to that experience that will benefit somebody else when you're having another conversation down the road, or you're engaged with them, or maybe you're then applying that experience to some kind of consultant situation. Like, there's so much to be learned, and if you're open to the experience, it's everything.
Right. If it's easy, everybody's doing it anyway.
Yep.
Right. Like even so, you told me once, it's low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Right. You want that juicy one up at the top.
That's where it is.
Yeah, you tell me a lot of good things, man. You've given me a lot of good advice
Hell yeah.
during the years, and I'm glad that, not even just to be business oriented or partners with you with a lot of other things, is just to have your friendship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, we can call each other for business like we mainly do.
Yeah.
But I can also call you, be like, hey, you know what? I'm in my fields today, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Or run into you at a comedy show and just chill.
Oh, yeah. So, but it's always been great timing with our relationship also. And no matter what we're going through, from sobriety to opening businesses together, like, it's always lined up.
Yeah.
So it's great. And I'm very thankful to have you as
Hell yeah.
somebody
Likewise. I appreciate your friendship. This is my guy, Tanastadi. You can catch him around Denver and Las Vegas, sometimes down south, sometimes in the Bay, DJing.
everywhere.
What are your socials?
So it's going to be Tanastadi, is Tanastadi, and that's all socials. Even YouTube.
The luxury of having a unique name.
Yes,
That name that was
very.
hard to say way back when. Now you
Right.
turned it into something that's easy.
I'll never have a keychain pre-made, but but it's okay. I'll make my own merch.
Hell yeah. Shout out to my guy.
Thank you, man.
Boom.